excited to be here because I have a very special guest today. I've been watching her stuff. She's hilarious, incredibly talented, really well written stuff. I had the good fortune of accidentally coming across her, and I'm so glad that I invited her to be on the podcast today. Let me just rattle off some of the awesome things this incredible person has done. Okay, are you ready? This First of all, she's been on tons of festivals like Melbourne Comedy Festival, you name it, she's been there. On top of that, she made her debut on the Late Night Show with Stephen Colbert. She has a 15-minute special on Netflix, and the rest I will. Ooh, somebody said there's no sound. Oh no. What happened to my sound? People are saying that they're not hearing me. That's not good. How's this? Can you guys hear me? I hope so. Oh, let me see here. I hope you guys can hear me. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Awesome. Let's see here. Let's see if my fans can hear me. Can you? Oh, okay. Your mistake. All right. You can hear me. Okay, cool. I was like, what the hell happened? Okay. All right. Here's the very talented Kate Willett. How are you, my friend? Hi. I can't hear you. I don't know what happened.
1 second. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I wasn't sure if I was muted. How are you?
Yeah, can you? Oh, I still can't hear you. Maybe,
Can you hear me now?
There you are. There you are. I can totally hear you. How you doing, Kate?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. So nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is so great. I've been watching your stuff, and it's just brilliant. I think you're just really great at what you do.
Thank you so much. That's so sweet of you.
No, it's totally true. I actually was trying to dig up because you're based in New York City, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
But are you originally from New York, or where are you from?
I'm from California, so I grew up in LA, and then I moved to the Bay Area when I was a teenager, and then moved out to New York like 4 years ago.
Got it. I mean, California, where in Cali?
I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, so like Northridge area. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Northridge, I don't know if you know, but Northridge is pretty heavy-duty South Asian now.
I actually moved out of Northridge when I was like in junior high. We moved up to like Valencia area. You know where that is?
Yes, yeah, I know exactly where that is. I bought my, this is going to sound really snobbish, but I bought my BMW there.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Thanks, yeah, but it burnt itself down after 2 years. So don't congratulate me, but thank you though.
Valencia is like, it's at least it might be different now, but it was super white, Christian, right wing. It was a really weird kind of like Stepford wife place. Yeah.
I mean, Connecticut is so Stepford wife-ish.
Is that where you live?
No, goodness, no. I live in LA. I am. We crossed our coast. You went to the East Coast, and because I grew up in New York City and I moved out to LA, but you grew up in LA and then you moved out to New York.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I feel like it's just I feel like a lot of people switch coasts. You know, you're just like, it's time for something different. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I come across a lot of Californians who are like, oh my God, I would totally love to live in New York City. I'm like, really? I'm like, I'm so over it. I lived there for 15 years. I am burnt the fuck out. Like, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Where in the city do you live?
I live in like downtown Brooklyn area, like kind of by Atlantic Barclays Center. Yeah.
Okay. That's a nice, I mean, that's a gentrified neighborhood. That neighborhood has come up, right?
It's kind of weird because it's sort of like like a block away from my house is like very, very fancy, but like the block that I live on is like it's mostly people who've lived here for like a couple decades. You know, wow. So it's sort of a mix. Yeah.
Right. I mean, my last place was in Brooklyn. I lived in Prospect Park, which was like my favorite spot. It's so beautiful.
I love Prospect Park so much.
It was lovely. I just had such a great time. Kate, I know you have a brand new called Dirtbag Anthology. It's an audiobook that's out.
Anthropology, actually.
And what is it? Anthropology?
Dirtbag Anthropology. Yeah.
Dirtbag Anthropology. Sorry about that. Tell me a little bit more about it, because, and before you start telling me, I want to like really commend you, and I want to get into this conversation with you, because your stuff is so smart, but it's also raunchy, but it's so different when you do it versus when I do it. I am like shamed by my own people to be like, you're a Muslim woman and you're South Asian, and how could you talk about this stuff? And it's like, we all have the same fucking bodily functions. What the hell are you fucking shaming me for? So please do tell me about the fuckboys and the fucking losers that are out there that women have to face every day.
Well, so this book is actually like, it's only partially about like dating and sex stuff. It's also like, I wrote a book about men, just kind of as a broad topic, and I wrote like a series of essays and I did a series of interviews like with men in my life, kind of thinking about the topic of masculinity. Yeah. And there's definitely a lot of like dirty sex stories in there, but there's also some stuff that's like has nothing to do with sex. Like specifically my time as like a born again Christian when I was a teenager, and I wrote a lot about my dad, my relationship with my dad, and also like I wrote about trying to think, just sort of the conception of like men and women that I grew up with, like as a little girl. So it's really like, it's a broad range of things on masculinity. It's kind of like half memoir, half interviews.
Got it. Half memoir. And did you interview like other comedians, like, or relatives? Like, who are you interviewing?
Yeah, so a mixture of both. I interviewed some really interesting, famous people. I interviewed Margaret Cho, who is like my comedic mentor. I love her so much. And I interviewed W. Kamau Bell. I interviewed this progressive feminist pastor named Nadia Boltz-Weber, and she's a best-selling author. And then a bunch of comedians that I know, like good friends of mine. But I did interview my dad. He was in the book, and I interviewed my boyfriend a couple times. I interviewed one of my really close friends. I interviewed my former landlord. I mean, it was kind of a mix of famous people and people in my life. Yeah,
sure. Your relationship with your dad. How is your relationship with your dad?
My dad is like, when I was growing up, we definitely weren't close. But my dad is like, he's a really, really shy and reserved person, but it's definitely been like nice to get to know him more as an adult. Like, he's just, I don't know. He's a really, really, really shy guy. So he's a man of few words, but he's starting to like talk more now that I'm older. I don't know.
I mean, I wonder for like a shy guy like him, for him to even be open to be like, sure, you can interview me. And
I was very surprised. I was super, super, super surprised that he was willing to do it. I did not think he was going to say yes, but he was like, sure. And especially because I interviewed him about like some difficult topics. Like what we were talking about is, when I was growing up, my brother was really seriously, and I was interviewing him about how he felt during that time. And like, this is really personal. And, I was surprised that he like wanted to do that. I didn't pressure him or anything. I just asked, and he was like, yeah, sure. And I think he kind of like wanted to say how he was feeling about all that stuff. And he also wanted to be supportive. So I'm really glad that he did it,
Yeah. Sorry, when you were mentioning your brothers, it kind of, the connection kind of got a little choppy. What were you saying about your brother?
He was really sick when I was growing up. He had a serious disease. Yeah.
Got it. And how is he now?
He actually passed away like 11 years ago. And I wrote about that in the book too. It's kind of, the book is like, it is a comedy book in the sense that like it's funny and there's a lot of jokes in there, but I also wrote about, it has a lot of stuff in there about like, loss and like dealing with hard situations in life, and how the way that our culture like thinks about masculinity like impacts men's ability to feel like they can be open about their feelings and grieve and stuff. So
Yes.
it has serious stuff in it too. Yeah.
And yet, that's so interesting that you even mentioned that, because I just had my therapy session today. And because I'm a proud therapy person for 13 years, I've been going to therapy, very proud of it. I was just talking to my therapist about that. And I was just like, we like, as much as I want to complain about like fucked up men out there as a single woman, I'm just like, but the blame also goes on the mothers of how they raise their sons and the fathers who raise those sons, right? Don't cry. What are you, a pussy? What are you, like a girl? Don't fucking cry. Don't show emotion. Man up, And that shit is toxic. It's so toxic because these are the same guys that grow up to be like, which country can I fucking nuke? It's like, you don't want that shit. Like, you don't want to teach sons and boys this. They're human beings that have a full spectrum of emotions. Let them feel that shit. So I'm glad at least somebody's talking about it in a comedic way.
Yeah, I think you know, what I really, because I started this book with the question, like, what does it mean to be a good man? And I kind of ended up coming to the conclusion that it means exactly the same thing as being a good person. Like the same thing it means to be just a good human being in general, compassion, empathy, honesty, integrity. But like, our culture does have certain obstacles to men like being able to feel their feelings and show their feelings, and that makes stuff like compassion and empathy harder because you have to like be in touch with your own emotions in order to be able to like take care of someone else or understand what someone else is feeling, and all the shit that we put on men, it doesn't really help.
Right. 100%. I just feel like we constantly kind of put this, but the pressure is always kind of put back on women, right? It's just like, hey, what did you do to piss him off? What were you wearing for him to have the desire to rape you? What were you doing? And it's just like, why are we taking the fucking brunt of everything? Why are you not pointing this out to the guys? Look, I think, America is a very patriarchal culture, but I come from Pakistan, Kate. I was born and raised there. I moved when I was 15. I don't think it gets any more fucking toxic patriarchy than cultures in South Asia and Middle East. The toxicity is like palpable. Like you can't fucking miss it. It's like everywhere. And it's just kind of, and even women accept it, right? Even women embrace it as like they're misogynistic against other women, and they just kind of embrace it as normal. Like it's just a total form of lifestyle. Do you feel in, in light of like Me Too movement and Time's Up, do you think society has inched a little bit forward, or we're still kind of standing pretty much the same?
Well, so I wrote about that a lot in the book, and I think the conclusion that I came to is like, it has moved forward in the sense that people are now having conversations about this stuff, but having conversations is important, especially in interpersonal relationships, like I've been able to talk to men in my life about stuff that I've been through, like in a way that, and they were able to understand me in a way that like may not have happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, for sure, but like, just being able to talk about stuff doesn't, that alone does not really change things.
Of course not. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess what I kind of concluded was like stuff has shifted, but not in the major structural way that it really needs to,
Right. I know you talk a great deal about being bisexual, and you talk about, I was watching your comedy, and I was like, man, I'm jealous. I am jealous of Kate. I am jealous of growing up Christian and just having to live in a society where you can just be totally open about your sexuality. My family doesn't even want to know if I'm dating someone. Like just the thought of them thinking that I'm like possibly getting naked with someone it fucking blows their mind. Like, so they're just like,
Oh
we don't
man.
even want to know who you're seeing. But the fact that you're so open about your sexuality and about people you date and your love life, how has your family been? I mean, you come from a family of born again Christians.
Yeah, I mean, my parents definitely aren't religious anymore. My like aunt and uncle and like the kind of people that in my extended family that are super religious, to be honest with you, I don't really know what they think about it or not, because if I do talk to them, they don't mention it, and they probably know, but there's just like this talk. I mean, but there's so many other things that they have never really talked to me about. Like, you know, when I was married to a woman, they kept being like, your friend, you know, and I was just like, okay, this is not my friend, and you know that. But you know, I don't know, because
Wow.
like during Trump, it was contentious because of some people, some relatives of mine like supported Trump, and so I was really mad about that, and I didn't really I didn't beat around the bush with that one. But you know, I don't really know. I don't know what it's like now. I feel like we're in a time where,
Yeah.
like, a lot of, I mean, Trump is not in charge anymore, and he was like the
Thank God.
hero for a lot of these evangelical Christian people. So I don't know what's going to happen right now, to be honest with you. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like now having, you know, a vice president, a female vice president is definitely helping matters. I hope that it help matters a little bit more. But I just feel like, just like you said, I think maybe the first step to all of this is just having a conversation, or just the level of awareness. I mean, before you couldn't even bring this stuff up. I mean, for instance, like, I have 4 older brothers. I'm the youngest and the only girl in the family, right? My brothers used to make fun of me, to be like, oh, you're a feminist? You're a feminist? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a proud feminist. Fuck you guys. Now they all have daughters, Kate, because God has an excellent sense of humor. And they all have daughters, and now they're the biggest fucking feminists on the planet. Oh, we're such feminists. Oh my God, I can't imagine my daughter or my niece being treated a certain way. I'm like, fuck you guys. You guys are a bunch of fucking hypocrites. Like, you didn't give a fuck when your sister was talking about being a feminist, but now that you have daughters, now all of a sudden you're fucking feminists, you know? But I feel like, you know, when you do go in the comedy world, right, Kate, and the great thing about New York City, hands down, has the best fucking comedy scene in the world. Nobody has a better comedy scene than New York City. But when you go out in the comedy scene in New York City, like, do you get shit for your feminist jokes, like for talking about stuff you do, like what, or are you just kind of past that stage?
You know, that's a hard question, because there's not really like one comedy scene in New York City.
Right.
I mean, like the shows that I usually do are like, you know, often with pretty like-minded people, to be honest with you, like
Yeah.
kind of more sort of open-minded artistic crowd. But there's other shows in New York City that have like fucking real, sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear.
Oh,
but
you can say whatever the fuck you want. It's fine.
yeah, I mean, there's parts of the New York comedy scene that has, you know, legit like white supremacists, you know, like people that have like that are actually like, I know this one woman that she was like marching on the Capitol on January 6th, yeah, and that's there too, and so I don't know if people want to make a generalization about the New York comedy scene. It's hard to, because there's kind of a bunch of different scenes, you know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. There's the it's interesting. You're absolutely right about the New York comedy. I mean, when it comes to like your big clubs, right? Your Gotham and your Carolines, I feel like they kind of tend to always kind of lean more towards the dudes who are just like, yeah, I got a big dick. I have an awesome dick. Like, look at me. I fucking fuck bitches. Do you feel that way also about these comedy clubs? Like, that's the kind of dudes that kind of try to attract, or your kind of comedy is also welcomed?
Well, I used to perform at Caroline's a lot when it was pre-pandemic, you know. I don't really know that much about Gotham. I haven't really been there too much, but I definitely wouldn't identify those two clubs as like being the most dude bro out of all of them for sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, so that's good to know.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, which is great. I mean, Kate, I was also listening. Like when you went on Colbert, first of all, does he smell really nice when you get a little closer to him?
So it's kind of funny how they tape Colbert because they tape it with like all the comedians doing like a showcase on the same day. Like
Okay.
all this, they'll have like 5, 6 stand-up comedians. They'll have you perform just a stand-up show. And I didn't actually get to meet Steven. You know, like they tape the stand-up separately. So yeah, I don't know how Stephen Colbert smells. Yeah.
So he wasn't even there when you taped it. So there's just 5, 6 different comedians, but the audience is still there. It's the same audience though.
It's not the same audience, no, because it's like they like basically they do one stand-up show and they have like the people kind of just for that stand-up show, and then I think my set aired like 6 months after I taped it or something, you know, so it was a new audience for Colbert's show that day.
Oh wow, interesting.
Yeah.
They tape it and then they, you get paid for it, right, Kate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got not like a ton, but like, you know, a good amount. I spent like a good percentage of it on a dress and getting your hair done to be on TV.
Right.
No,
yeah,
so.
absolutely. I mean, when you, have you, I mean, you had that 15-minute special, the comedy special for Netflix.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. Where did you guys tape that? What, did you guys tape that in New York too?
No, that was taped in Atlanta. I was living in New York, but that was taped in Atlanta. They flew everyone there over a few day period to tape all the 15-minute ones.
I mean, I really love the concept because have you been watching some of the other specials that Netflix has been putting out, and they put it out in the native tongue of wherever the comedian's from, and they'll just have the subtitles. And I was like, look at Netflix. Netflix is not giving zero fucks. They're like, look, these are our comics. This is the way they deliver their comedy, and you just have to figure it out if you want to watch it or not.
I actually have not really watched a lot of stand-up in the pandemic, to be honest with you.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I miss performing so much, or I don't know. I just don't want to like feel that particular itch. But I've watched like, or maybe I just needed a little break from stand-up. I'm not sure, but I've been watching like a ton of documentaries. I've been watching a ton of horror movies.
Horror. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been attracted to different things. I'm sure that like as stand-up becomes something that is more possible to do again, probably start watching it a lot more again. Yeah.
Man, I mean, what is the scene like in New York City? I mean, everything is shut down, right? During the pandemic. You guys were the epicenter. Now we're the freaking epicenter. I mean, it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, so in New York right now, there are some indoor shows going on, but I don't know. I don't do indoor shows right now.
Yeah. Good for you. For
too much pandemic, you know.
Right. Exactly.
But you know, in the summer there were a lot of like outdoor park shows and stuff, and I did a lot of those, like outdoor socially distanced masks and stuff, and that was really fun. It felt like comedy was kind of back for a second, but yeah, I think I would have to feel like the pandemic was a lot more under control before, or maybe not existing at all, before I would feel like I wanted to perform inside, you know?
Yeah. I mean, now now they're talking about 200 million vaccines that Biden just ordered for everyone to get vaccinated because they want herd immunity by like July or August or something. That's what they're talking about. I mean, how much do you think comedy is going to be changed by the time people get vaccinated and it comes back? I mean, first of all, I don't think stand-up comedy is ever going to be the same again. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that there'll be. I mean, stand-up will definitely continue to exist and be
sure
that happens all the time because comedians are super motivated to perform. I mean, will it be exactly the same? Probably not. I think a lot of venues and clubs have closed, you know. I don't know if it'll be as easy to make a living as a stand-up comedian. Like, it was already hard before, and I feel like some of the places that, you know, you could get like a headlining weekend or something, like those have closed. But, you know, I think that, I mean, I think it'll, I don't know. I don't think it'll be that different, to be honest with you. I think comedians are like very motivated to perform stand up, and I think people are going to want to go out too, you know, after being in the house for so long.
I mean, people are definitely aching for live entertainment. I mean, are you guys allowed to have live entertainment outdoors in New York or even indoors? Is that even allowed right now?
Definitely allowed indoors, and I don't know if it was allowed outdoors or not. I think so, but I mean, there's nothing outdoors right now, really. It's like, it's snowing,
right?
You know,
it's the dead of winter.
Cold, so yeah.
Yeah, it's the dead of winter for you guys. So that's I mean, holy shit. Have you been watching what's been happening in Texas? Like, they got hit with a massive snowstorm. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I know some people in Texas, and it's really just so fucked up. I mean, people just like, I know the people I live in Texas losing power, and like, you know, in 16-degree weather with no power at all and no internet and, you know, water in a lot of cases. So horrible.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, my entire family lives in Dallas, and they were only one of my brother had electricity, so everybody went over to his house, like, because he's the only one who. I mean, in the middle of a freaking pandemic, when they're telling you not to see other people, but then you're left with no option but to go and see other people because
that's the whole thing too. Is like, there's probably going to be a massive COVID spread from, because everyone had to get all together in the house, you know.
Yeah,
it's the same in LA with like not exactly the same, but like during the wildfire season, like, you know,
it's so bad.
My parents were trying to stay away from, you know, people because they're old, but it was like, you know, like they were also fully prepared to have to evacuate their house because the areas near them were burning, and it's like, oh my God, there's so many disasters. Is how bad it get, you know, probably a lot worse, to be honest. But
I mean, 2020 was just a fucking dumpster fire of a year, you know.
Yeah, it was hard. It was really hard.
Did you? I mean, during this pandemic, like, you're home. Did you have any motivation to write? Because I was struggling. I have been straight up struggling with sitting down and trying to write stuff.
Well, I mean, I wrote a lot of this book during the pandemic.
Sure.
And I don't know if it was intrinsic motivation, but I had deadlines, so I had to get it done. So that was what I was writing for a big percentage of this, you know, but now that's done, and we'll see what I come up with next, you know?
Yeah. I mean, this book that you have, is it in print and on audiobook, or is it just an audiobook?
It's just an audiobook, and it's very specific to like audiobook format. Like, so much of it is like is made for audio, you know, interviews and comedy stuff, and absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, you know, Kate, you were touching on talking about your relationship with your dad, and you talked to him about, you know, some very delicate topics about like your brother being sick and then his passing. How much do you feel in your work do you bring in like pain? How much does pain play a role in your work?
You know, like in stand-up less, because stand-up is supposed to be like all funny, but in a book it doesn't really have to be like all funny. I mean, this book is it is funny, I hope, but I mean, like, there's also a lot of other emotions in it, so I kind of went wherever I wanted to. On this one, it for sure has some, like, it has a lot of different emotions in it: sadness, anger. But I mean, in stand-up, it's like you can talk about whatever you want, but there has to be a way to make it funny, because the whole thing is to make people laugh. You know?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I mean, did you watch Hannah Gatsby's first special?
Nanette. Yeah.
What did it do for you?
I mean, to me, like, I wasn't. Hannah Gadsby's special was like, it's a type of comedy that people do at the like Edinburgh Fringe Festival, where they have, and you probably know this, so this is more like for other folks, like where, you know, people have like a 1 hour show
Right.
and, you know, it's funny, but there's also like a narrative arc and it's poignant and you tear up towards the end and it's like a whole thing. And I've seen a bunch of those shows. Like I've lived in the UK for a little while and, you know, I'm familiar with that as its kind of own form. And so a lot of the things that people were talking about with Hannah Gadsby's special, it felt like just people kind of not understanding that like the form of stand-up isn't the same as it is in the United States in a lot of cases, like that the idea of like having like an emotional journey and a stand-up hour or having sad parts, like that's something that people do all over the world. It's just not like what American comedians particularly do. Right. So I don't know. I guess my thing about Nanette was like, I liked it. I mean, but like people were like, this is going to change comedy. I was like, no, it's not. Because people have been doing comedy like this for a long time. You know?
That's right. That's right. That's right. Just because we haven't seen it doesn't mean all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, it's this new form of comedy. It's like, no, it's been around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But, you know, I feel like for me, when I watched Nanette, I didn't know that you could do that. I was like, you can do that? I was like, I didn't know. And it just really blew me away. It gave me courage to talk about so much of my life in a way that I just never had the courage to talk about before.
Oh, nice. That's great.
Yeah, she just like rocked my world. And I was like, oh, I didn't know like you could scold people on stage. I didn't know you could do that. That's amazing. I mean, I just love what she does and, you know, everything that she stands for. I mean, for you, like, have you been getting like, besides doing like late night and stuff and, you know, writing your book, do you act as well? Like, do you get called in for acting work? Like, how does that work for you?
I've acted in some stuff. It hasn't been like that much. I guess mostly before the pandemic, I was focusing on like stand up primarily. But you know, I would definitely be down to do more acting in the future. But it's not where I particularly like spent time. Like there are actors who like the whole thing is just like auditioning, and, like, you know, making like acting videos, and I just like. I'm not there. Maybe I had a good time like acting in the stuff that I've acted in, but like, you know, there's real actors, and that's its own skill, you know?
Right. So. Right. I mean, it's like that Mitch Hedberg joke, right? Mitch Hedberg has a joke. He's like, you know, as stand-up comedians, you get hired, and then they ask you, they're like, can you act? Can you write? You're like, I'm a stand-up comedian. That's one craft I've been honing this entire time. Now you're asking me if I have other crafts I hone? No, I'm just a stand-up comic. Like, that's all I do. Now you're asking me to do other fucking things. Like, what the hell? I don't know, Kate. I mean, have you done comedy in LA? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I lived in LA for like a year before I moved to New York.
Yeah. And so you've been doing comedy for how long now?
Like 9 years or something.
Okay. So you've been doing comedy for about 9 years. What were you doing before? I mean, you mentioned that before that you worked in IT or something, didn't you?
Yeah, so that's true. I actually worked in like tech when I first started stand up too. Yeah. I was in San Francisco, and those were the jobs out there, you know. And right. I was I had a theater company in San Francisco for a while. I did do a lot of acting, but I was more like a theater person, you know, and you know, doing like I'm
an artiste.
Exactly.
I have integrity in my craft. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Regularly saying the words my craft without knowing how funny that was.
Yeah.
I was funny, but I don't know. You know? So.
Yeah. Right. You were trying to be dramatic, but the shit just always came out funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's your sign. Like, that's how you know. So what made you get into stand-up? I mean, what made you say, you know what, fuck tech, I want to do stand-up?
Well, so I was never like doing tech, like to have my career in tech. I just like doing it because I needed, you know, just money, like day job stuff. But I was doing theater for a lot of years, and then like I just kind of I don't know, I was having like, I was in grad school and I was having a rough time in grad school. I was in grad school for theater and I was like, maybe I'll try stand up. That sounds fun. And I tried it and it was really fun. It was a good time. So I just kind of kept going with it. I dropped out / was kicked out of grad school and then kind of started stand up full time.
What do you mean got kicked out of grad school, Kate?
So I was in a theater program at this university called DePaul, and they cut like people from the class every year. Like you were like, if you weren't good enough, you were like elimination. So I got eliminated, but I also like maybe would have even left myself because like I hated it there. I was miserable all the time. It was like awful. Yeah.
What did you go to school for?
I was getting my master's degree in theater. Yeah.
Got it. You will get a master's in theater. Got it.
Yeah.
I mean, your parents sound like really cool, chill people. Like, were they the ones who telling you to go do tech and then you were like, no, or that was just kind of your thing? Like, what did you get your undergrad in?
I got my undergrad in English literature. Yeah.
English literature? Like,
Yeah.
were you looking to like teach, get like a professor, become a professor or something?
I think when I started, I thought I was going to be a lawyer. Yeah. I think I thought I was going to be a lawyer one day. That was the thing that I was really interested in. And I mean, in another life, I could still like I could sort of see it, because I mean, I wanted to do like, I wanted to be like a public defender or something, like
that makes sense. Honestly, every time like I've spoken to comics and I ask them, I'm like, if you had an option in another life, like what to do, what would you be? And they're like lawyers. I mean, that's the same response that I would have. I mean, I would love to, if I didn't become a stand-up comic, I would have probably become, a criminal lawyer.
Yeah.
Because I have a criminal mind.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's like, I mean, with like law, it seems like people are making, complicated arguments, and comedy is like also making complicated arguments. It's just that they're silly and they're about like ridiculous.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
Precisely. Like, you know how to control the room. I mean, when you get in a court, you're presenting your case, you're controlling the room, you're controlling the environment, controlling the narrative. I mean, it's very, very similar to stand up.
Yeah, I don't really know what it's like to be a lawyer or anything, but I think it's a lot of like my friends who do it. It's a lot of like paperwork all day, like just like typing out these like long documents, and they're so bored,
Yes. I think it also depends on what kind of law you do. Like if you do like corporate law, that sounds fucking boring as fuck. Like nobody wants to do that.
That does sound boring as fuck. Yeah.
Like criminal, oh fuck! I stabbed 5 people. It's like, do tell.
Yeah, totally.
How did you arrive at that? Like, please do tell. That sounds like a lot more exciting when there's like death and destruction versus just typing fucking bullshit ass corporate policies. Who cares? No. I'm totally with you. So are you, Kate? Like, are you also like developing your own show? Do you also have a 1-hour special you're working on now? Like, what's your jam?
Well, like some other things I'm working on is I have a podcast myself that I really love doing. It's called Reply Guys, and it's a feminist political comedy podcast. I'm writing some articles right now, like some essays, and hopefully another book. I am working on some scripts, but this book has definitely been sort of consuming my time for the past few months at least.
Yeah, I bet.
So I think it's funny because it's like when people are like, okay, you just finished this, what are you doing now? And it's like, I finished this like 4 days ago.
Exactly. You're like, let me take a fucking breather. Like, I just got done.
Yeah.
Let me make a trip to Cancun like Ted Cruz. Let me make a trip. Let me try to take a deep breath. No, I totally understand. I totally get it. Is this your first audiobook, Kate?
Yeah. Yeah, that's my first book of any kind. So
how exciting! That is so exciting. Is this a concept idea that you had and you approached the company, or did they approach you and were like, "Hey, we'd love to offer you this," and you're like, "Let me come up with an idea"?
No, I pitched this idea in like 2017.
Oh, wow.
no, 2018 I pitched this idea.
Yeah.
And then it took like a year to kind of like sell it and get the pitch going.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and then I started writing it in like 2019. So it was like, it took like a year and a half once we actually started working on it, but it took like a year to sell, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Kate, that's such a key thing that you just mentioned. You said that you started back in 2017. That's 3 years of your life that you're
yeah.
like consistently just while doing a gajillion other things on the side, right?
Yeah.
Writing, performing, Colbert, all that other stuff, right? And then in the meantime, also working on this. And a lot of people don't understand how absolutely what a hustle it is to be in the creative world, like especially a stand-up comedy. I mean, it is a hustle on like a whole different level. Don't you feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic is definitely the first time that I've rested in so long. Like, maybe that's why I'm watching so much TV of like not Connie, is because it's like, I didn't, people would ask me like in, 2018 or 2019, like, oh, what shows are you into? Like, I don't know. I never watch TV. I like do work all day, and then I like shove some pizza in my face, and then I like go do like 4 sets, and then I come home and I pass the fuck out. Like,
Exactly.
when would I watch this TV? So it has been like kind of nice. And so I miss comedy a lot, but it's been really nice to like get to like cuddle with my little pets. I got some pets. They're kitties. And I love them so much. And I've been like cooking, and that's been fun. And so I don't know. I don't even remember what this tangent was, but like the hustle of like creative stuff, yeah, can be really exhausting. And like it's going to be a little weird to go fully back to it after so much time's kind of to sort of rest a little bit.
It's almost like your work ethic has been like dumbed down, where you're just like, ugh, do I have to put in all this time and all this work? Can I just watch like 2 documentaries and then come back to it, or like something, right? I mean, it's funny because I recently got I landed a role on a primetime show.
Congratulations!
Oh, thank you. And right after I landed it, this girl reached out to me, who I've been kind of like, I've met her once, and I kind of worked with her in New York City. I got hired to MC this big fashion show, and she was like the creative person on it. And she also wants to become a manager for our artists or whatever. And she messages me out of the blue, and she goes, "Can you tell me how you got there?" I'm like, "Got there where?" She's like,
"Oh my gosh."
And honestly, Kate, like, I had like this mix of emotions. I was like, what the fuck is she talking about? Is she fucking stupid? Does she know what it takes? And it's like this range of emotions where I was like, well, I have been hustling for well over 15 years of my life. I don't have a husband. I don't have a boyfriend. All I fucking do is work. And also, it's called talent. That's how I got here. Do you ever get questions like that from dumbasses? You'll be like, how'd you get there, Kate? How'd you make it on Colbert, Kate?
Yeah, I mean, definitely when I did the Netflix thing, I had some, like, a bunch of, like, random people write me and, like, be like, who can I contact about getting a Netflix special? Like, you just send an email or something. So that was funny,
Wow. I hope you blocked them. Did you block them?
I didn't block them, but I was just like, I don't think that there's anyone that you could just send an email.
Hey, Kate, can you just send me that email that just gets you that Netflix special? Can you just send me that email? Like, what? What do you? What? No. What the fuck are you talking about? That's so weird. Kate, your stuff about how feminist it is. I love the edginess of it. I love fucking everything about it. We don't have to mention this group of people, but I believe it was mentioned that you had a group of douche nozzles who were trying to come after you for being a woke feminist, for being a woke comedian. Are you okay with just talking about it? Of course, we're not mentioning any names here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's fine. I've like talked about this, but yeah, I mean, I was kind of telling you about like the the sort of like right wing segment of things in New York, and like there's definitely this group of comics, and they have this like dumb podcast network that is like, it's just like the whole thing is like just being racist and sexist, and it's not even one of these things where they're like, oh, it's a joke or something, because they actually like have had like David Duke and like Richard Spencer on, like really like people who are like doing this shit with their life, you know, and you know,
burning crosses in their backyards kind of shit.
I don't know if these comics are, but like people who have been on the network for sure doing that shit, you know.
Sure.
You know, and it's like, I mean, a couple years ago, I went on one of their shows because like someone just hit me up with an email, like you did, you know. It was just like, okay, I was like, you know, I'm down for project, whatever. Didn't look into it that much, but then I went on and it became kind of clear what sort of environment it was, and I was like, oh shit, like I actually don't want to be part of this, so I left. I wasn't like trying to even really beef with them. I just didn't want anything to do with it. And then they just kept coming after me for like a couple years, you know? So, yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's just like what? Trying to defame you, like talk shit about you, like what?
Yeah, no, they have like definitely like, they had this bit that was like, they had like a random rape threat generator that was like devoted to like saying different, like, I don't know what, I didn't watch the bit. I just saw like a little bit of it, but I think that the premise was like that they like would, you know, do like would generate like random rape threats to me or something. And then like one of my ex-boyfriends died tragically. It was horrible. And they like they spread a rumor that I was like murdering him, and they like kept saying this on their podcast and stuff. It was disgusting. But yeah, you know, I have a boyfriend, and they found some like porn of like porn that he made like a long time ago, like before we were even together, and they found this of him, and then they like aired it on their show and stuff.
Jesus.
Yeah, and it was just very,
wow.
I don't know, they're kind of like, they're like really obsessive, gross people, you know?
And now, I mean, I hope all that bullshit is just behind you at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I have like 30,000 people blocked on Twitter, to be honest with you.
Wow. I
They're
believe
all crazy, you know? Like their fans are just disgusting. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. I try to just like block I mean, these people have like, I don't know. I mean, I definitely had to make sure that my address was like everywhere off the internet, like pay for like anti-doxing software and stuff. I mean, it's been scary at certain points, you know. They're horrible, horrible people.
Sounds, yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, right, Kate? When you're talking about like these crazy kind of right-wing nuts, right? You don't know what they're capable of. I mean, I don't know if you heard the story about Dina Hashem. Yeah, right? And somebody published her parents' address online.
Yeah, I saw that. That's disgusting. That's horrible.
I mean, she had to delete her account. Horrible. Like, she made one joke about like some rapper, right? The one who got shot, I believe he was. I forget the guy rapper's name.
I forgot what his name was, but yeah, it was a rapper who was shot.
Yeah, and it
wasn't even about him getting shot.
Exactly, it was about Venmo.
Yeah,
it was about don't carry cash, Venmo, so you won't get robbed.
Yeah,
and they lost their shit, man.
Yeah. I remember just feeling like that was just a wild overreaction, you know?
I mean, Kate, honestly, were you not absolutely terrified when these people were trying to come after you like 2 years ago and worried about your safety? And
no, I definitely was. Like, I mean, like I had people like come with me to shows and stuff. I was scared for sure. I mean, because it's like at the end of the day, you know, it's like as a stand-up comedian, like at least before the pandemic, you'd have like put where you were going to be that night every day.
That's right. That's right. You know? Come murder me here. Like,
yeah, exactly. And that's something that not a lot of women, you know, would or should be doing, probably, because it is kind of scary to like have, you know, any fucking random creep be able to know where to find you at any moment. But that's something that you have to do.
Right.
So yeah, it was scary. You know, in the pandemic, I've been a little bit more like fucking saying whatever I want to these people because I'm not putting where I am every day. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to. I'm not going to be like at a certain location that night that they can find me at. So whatever, fuck them. You know?
Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, have you been, you know, did you like try to go to the cops? Did you try to get a lawyer? You were just like, these motherfuckers are like trying to come after me and threaten my life? Like what?
Yeah, no, I got a lawyer to write a cease and desist letter, and they burned it on the air. I did. I'm not like I'm not big on calling the cops, but I did like ask about it, and the cops don't really handle like online stuff too much. Like it has to be like so specific to get someone in trouble for a threat. Like it has to be like someone you'd have to prove that whoever was saying that they were going to kill you or rape you online like had an actual like plan to do that, you know. Which
so is like just a threat to be like, I'm gonna come to your comedy show and I'm gonna rape you and murder you. That's not good enough.
I think that's not enough. No. Yeah. Yeah.
That's fucked up, Kate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know the law, but I mean, also one of the guys who like ran this station like was a cop, so I mean, they were like, this was like, there's a lot of cops fucking listen to that shit. It was like the same milieu, you know. I don't think cops really make anything better most of the time. I'm not a big like police person, and I probably could have sued these people, but I mean, that's like, you know, that's so much like time and energy, and I mean, I just want them to shut the fuck up, you know.
Agree.
I don't know, but I mean, like, I think that the tide is turning on some people, kind of like I think especially with some of these folks, like this one woman who was doing that, like she was like literally storming the Capitol on January 6th. And I think that people are kind of starting to realize like, okay, some of these people, like this is not like just comedy. Like these people are seriously doing this, you know?
And let's be real, Kate, most of these assholes are usually not fucking funny. Like when
they're not funny at all. They just use like racial slurs and like, you know, it's so stupid. It's lowest common denominator.
I mean, you know, it's like one Rush Limbaugh dies and 10 Rush Limbaughs are born somehow, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think what the really the cherry on the cake is the fact that he died during Black History Month, which gives me so much pleasure to say. I'm talking about Rush Limbaugh dying.
Oh yeah, I fucking hate that guy. He was dead. Oh, good. But
what a fucking piece of shit. Did you know that he was, he used to rattle out the names of men who died of AIDS and then make fun of them?
No, I did not know that. I didn't ever listen to Rush Limbaugh. My grandparents really were into him, though. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's that generation too, right? It's that kind of older generation. Like,
yeah, I didn't realize how much younger he was than them. I guess Rush Limbaugh is like, he was a little bit older than my parents, but not that much.
Yeah, he died at 70.
Yeah, I always thought that he was like way older than my parents or whatever. I thought he was more like my grandparents' age, but no, he was, yeah.
Yeah,
what a hateful little fucker, you know? Like, what a hateful man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess being a little, racist, misogynistic piece of shit does age you. So I would think that's why you were just like, I thought he was older. It's like, no, racism ages you. It does. It really fucking does, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like probably with him, it was like, you know, I don't want to speculate, but he did have cancer and stuff, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
he had a lot of health problems or whatever, but he's definitely an incredibly bad person. And I don't like all this like pearl clutching about like, how can we say something bad about Rush Limbaugh? It's like, fuck you, dude. Like, it's
Fuck
the
Rush Limbaugh, dude. He was
Yeah.
fucking making fun of people dying of AIDS. Like they've played this one clip of him where it's a video, the clip of him where he's just like, "Hey, you want to know how you're gonna stop AIDS? Stop telling a man to bend over so you can take him from behind." And I was like, "Oh my god! I hope you." I honestly, Kate, feel like hell is not filling up fast enough.
Yeah, I know.
Literally. It's like these fucking Ted Cruz needs to fucking go to hell. Trump, all these douchebags. Fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
I'm just so fucking over it. Your podcast, it's a political podcast, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what do? You just invite other comedians and you just talk about the current political climate?
Well, so we have comedians on sometimes, but a lot of times we have people who are running for office, like candidates for office. And a lot of times we have journalists too. So it's like a mix of things, but mostly journalists and people running for office, but we do have comedians sometimes. We always joke around, but then it's more like kind of joking around, but with people who like know what they're talking about, which we do not, so yeah
absolutely.
Yeah.
Kate, I had Congresswoman Katie Hill on my podcast here.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
And she's wonderful, right? And she's openly bisexual. Like her ex-husband did revenge porn on her. I don't know if you know her story.
Yeah, I do. She was the district I grew up in.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Right. And she's just a lovely, lovely human being to talk to. And she was telling me about all the shit, right? And, and she had to step down and she gave her seat up. And, I often wonder about things like that, right? Like you look at the horrific things that Trump was saying and had done and still became the president of the United States, right? You look at all these conservative men that are always just like, gay people shouldn't get married, and then fucking get caught banging their, male assistant because they're in the closet. That's why they're so fucking homophobic. And you look at this shit, and then I look at something like that you've been through with these podcasting right-wing assholes, right? And I wonder that if you were a man that was on that episode that day when they were spewing all that fucking garbage, if they would ever have the balls to come after you the way they did because you're a girl.
Well, I mean, I think that's complicated because they honestly come after my boyfriend more than they come after me, like.
Is your boyfriend a comic too?
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, like, it's hard to say because they are misogynistic, but I think that like with men who have spoken out against them, like they have tried, almost more, like shit. I mean, there was this one guy that posted this thread the other day about like how he basically said some shit about one of these podcasts, and like they harassed him like mercilessly for 2 years. I think they tried to get his son taken away from him. Or maybe, I don't know if they tried to get his son taken away from him, but there was some situation where like they looked up his kid's adoption records to try to fuck with him. I don't know if it was like to get his kid taken away or if it was like to publicize that he had like given a child up for adoption, but something like that. But they like put that shit out on the internet. I don't remember the personal details of it, but something that was like very, very none of their fucking business. And, they like, I don't know. I mean, they've done a lot of bad shit to men too. So let's be honest. Yeah.
They sound demonic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That is some really vicious. I mean, talk about being so petty about shit. It's like, okay, somebody came to your podcast, they didn't fucking like what you were saying, and they left. Yeah. And they didn't curse you out, and they didn't say, fuck you, and fucking throw a fit, which you don't seem the type to me anyways. And then you were like, all right, I just don't want to be associated with this, right? And they're like, my panties are in a bunch now. Mm.
Yeah, no, exactly. It was really stupid. I mean, I'm just like, plus it was like not even, like even apart from the fact that I was like, they're saying shit that was racist or whatever. Like the guy that was on the show, was also fucking wasted, and it was like 10 a.m. You know, I'm just like, okay, this is not.
Somebody has a problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
10 drunk at 10 a.m. It's like
he's doing shots, and I was like, oh, this is not good. Yeah.
wow. Wait, and were you like present in the studio in person, or was this over the internet?
No, I was in the studio in person. Yeah, this was pre.
Oh, this
like
makes
in
it even
2018
worse.
or something. Yeah.
It makes it even worse, Kate. It's
Yeah.
not like you can be like, connection's bad, goodbye. You know, it's just like, and you just click and you just hang up.
No, yeah, that would actually be like, if that happened now, I think I would just be like, I would just hang up, and then that was it. You know, just be like, oh, sorry, I don't know what happened. You know?
Sorry, my Wi-Fi isn't working. My Wi-Fi isn't racist. Sorry. It doesn't. Whenever somebody says racist shit, it's fucking disconnects. Jesus Christ. That's...
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is like people like this, their whole thing is that like I mean, it's a money-making scheme, because they're like, oh, people are trying to cancel us all the time, and like, you know, they're trying to like make it so that we can't say these controversial things. And it's like, there might be some people trying to cancel you, but like, I'm not. I just want you to like stay the fuck away from me, and I don't want anything to do with you. I actually just said that I don't want to do your podcast.
Right.
You know? Maybe now, after like 2 years, I'm like, yeah, this should not exist. But you know,
right.
And, but yeah, I mean, like their whole thing is like they try to pick fights and harass people, and then when those people talk about it, they're like, oh, look, they're trying to shut down our free speech, only to our network to prevent us from getting shut down by this horrible person. And you know, they're making thousands of dollars off this grift, you know, so that's why you do it, because it's like it's for money.
That's interesting. You know, Kate, you brought up that point. It's this is a thing, a tactic that has been used by the Republicans, because they're a bunch of pubes. But the Republicans and the Trumpers of saying fucked up shit, and then you holding them accountable. They're like, see, you're trying to cancel me. See, cancel culture. And it's like, I'm not trying to cancel you, just making you accountable for the fucked up shit that came out of your mouth that has fucking impact.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And then they play the victim. Oh, I'm totally the victim. They're trying to cancel me. I just wanted to say that, you know, I just want Kate to get raped. I mean, why can't I say that? I mean, cancel culture.
Really stupid. Yeah.
You're wishing rape on someone. I recently did an online comedy competition. Oh, fuck, Kate. First of all, I was the only...
That sounds horrible.
It was horrible. I was the only woman on the lineup. And to make matters worse, there were like 4 other guys competing with me. And to make matters worse, they make me go up first, which was the most fucked up place that you can put me at, right? I go up. There's a comic who comes up after me, and he goes, Mona inspired me to do my rape jokes, but I don't think I'm going to do them tonight.
Oh my gosh. That's so weird.
And you're just like, I inspired you? So because I wasn't on Scream anymore, I had access to the chat box. So I went in the chat box. I was like, oh my God, you look so different without your white hoodie on. I was like, your pointed hoodie. I was like, you look so different when you don't have it. I was like, are you going to go burn a cross after this and fuck your sister? Is that what's going to happen for you after this? Like, seriously. But it's just fucking ridiculous. Like the kind of shit. What is some of the worst introductions you've gotten on stage, Kate? I'll tell you one. I had a guy once tell me, the next comic I'm about to bring up on stage, her jeans is so tight tonight, I can't keep my eyes off her ass. Give it up for Mona.
I think the funniest introduction I ever got was someone said, your first female comic of the evening, Mr. Kate Willett. And I was like, wait a minute. You can call me Mr. and your first female comic. You're so confused, you know. Commit to it. So
was he trying to suggest
he was just really confused. Yeah.
What the fuck? What was he drunk?
No, I don't think so. But I guess I remember I did this comedy competition like, you know, a couple years after I started comedy, and I was like backstage. And I was like ready to go on stage. I was sitting there with my notebook by the stage curtain. And the guy that was hosting the show was like, are you one of the comedian's girlfriends? And I was like, no, I'm the next comedian, which like is pretty easy to discern from the fact that I'm standing by the curtain, like with
a fucking notebook.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's stupid.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I was kind of saying earlier, like, you know, there's so many types of shows. I mean, definitely like most of the shows that I've done for like the past few years have been like with really nice people that I really like a lot, you know? So
yeah. I mean, Kate, your journey from going from like you said, from the tech world to stand-up comedy, was stand-up comedy something that just kind of fell in your lap, or was it something that you were just like, you know, I should give it a shot?
No, I mean, when I tried it, I like pretty immediately, you know, I was like, oh, I want to do this like a few times a week. And there was this comedian in San Francisco named Kasim, and he was really cool. He was a sweet guy. He was like the dad of all of us in San Francisco, because he had been around for a while. And he was like, you know, you're pretty funny, but if you want to get good, you have to do comedy a lot. And I was like, I am doing it a lot. He was like, how many times are you doing it a week? I was like 3 or 4, you know? And he's like, he's like, that's not a lot. Like, he's like, you need to be doing at least 10 spots a week, you know? And so then I started doing it like that. And I mean, I think for years I still like did it like that. I think the pandemic is probably the first time that I slowed down really, you know?
Yeah. 3 to 4 times. I mean, when I moved to LA from New York, I was doing 3 to 4 times a night. That's what I was doing. But then I also burned myself out, so that's not a good thing either.
Yeah. I mean, the lowest amount of comedy I've ever done, except during the pandemic, is when I lived in LA. I probably did like 3 to 4 shows a week in LA when I lived there, because it's just like it's all the driving, and it's just like
that's right.
So many comedians is a little bit harder to get stage time, but
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason I moved to New York, is because I was like, let's get back to it. I want to do a bajillion times of stand up, you know?
And honestly, every time I come to New York City, I come back a better comic every time.
Yeah. I mean, it's really fun. And I don't know. It's, I mean, New York comedy, it can be amazing, you know.
And exhausting. I'm always exhausted. The moment I land in New York City, I'm like, I'm exhausted. No matter how much I sleep, no matter how much coffee I chug, I'm fucking exhausted.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I know it's different now, though, because it's like, I mean, just the pandemic for a year, I've just been in the house, you know?
I mean, I can't even imagine what New York City looks like right now. I have been talking to some comedian friends in New York City, and they try to give me a tour of what it's like, but it seems very, very sad and quiet.
It is. Yeah. I don't know. But it sounds like maybe by late summer we'll be back in action. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you, we're going to start wrapping up, but I wanted to ask you, have you, besides the UK and Australia, have you performed in Asia or anywhere else for that matter?
Yeah, I did some comedy in China. I performed in India.
What was that like? What was China and India like?
China, I did this small comedy club that was very much like expats. Like, it was people from all over the world. And it was because it was an English language comedy club.
Yeah. Did they fly you out for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, fun. And that was great. I mean, I had a great time. I did Shanghai and Beijing. And yeah, it was awesome. I had a really, really, really fun time.
Yeah.
And in India, I went to India for a few weeks for a friend's wedding. Yeah. But then I was traveling around for a little bit. And one of the things I did was I did stand up there, like the Laugh Factory, I think it was, in Mumbai. Yeah. And that was really...
Which is the Canvas Comedy Club. Is that what you're referring to?
I don't know. I think it was called the Laugh Factory at that time.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, they had to change it because of, the Laugh Factory here.
Yeah. So, but, that was definitely... It was different, right? Because it was like... I think, like you were talking about at the beginning of the show, like, I mean, different things are more shocking in different environments, and I could tell that, like, my material was, like, more offensive there, than it is here. So,
yes. Because you're also challenging the patriarchy in a way that the female comics there don't challenge it. They can't. Like, they'll have straight up fucking death threats and all kinds of bullshit they have to deal with.
Yeah. I mean,
what was some of the stuff? What were some of your jokes where they were like, "Oh shit, what the fuck"?
I don't remember exactly what jokes I told because this was a while ago now. It was like in 2014, but I definitely know that I did tell a lot of sexual jokes for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And they were in it until they were like, "Oh my god."
Well, I'm sure I got a sort of pass as a foreigner, because it was like, I mean, like people from all over the world like watch American TV and shit, right? So I think like,
yeah,
I'm sure I was held to a different standard.
Did you tell your chlamydia story? Because your chlamydia story is fucking brilliant.
I didn't tell that one. That's so weird that you mentioned that. That's like a bit that I never think about. That really happened.
It was such a good bit.
It's so gross. Yeah,
it's
but no,
so gross and it's so good because you know what it was? I was listening to you and I was listening to that bit and I was getting ready and I was just like, this bit is so fucking out there, but it's also so vulnerable. Like you're just like.
I can't remember. Yeah, I don't know, but no, that was a real thing that happened to me.
No, I figured that it was
like I don't remember what I said in the story, but basically I had a huge crush on this guy, and I had a crush on him for a long time. I was like obsessed with him in a really super embarrassing way, like because I liked him way more than he liked me, but he liked me a little bit, and we like flirted for years and we'd hook up sometimes. I like wanted to hook up with him so bad. And then we did, and he gave me a fucking STD, and it was just like, oh no,
What the fuck?
I don't want to say that there was like I don't want to stigmatize like having STDs or whatever. Like ultimately, getting chlamydia, you can't do anything about it. It's not a big deal. Like people need to stop making a big deal about this stuff because it's way better if people just are honest and like tell each other if there's something like that going around. But it was really weird to have like this whole thing where it was like, oh wait, like I thought I was gonna have this experience with this guy that I really liked, where it's like, oh my gosh, and then all of a sudden we're like, okay, we're like dealing with this whole situation together, So,
you're like, we're never hooking up after this, but I'm glad I got a.
We did hook up after that.
After taking your medications?
No, we hooked up. We were like on like a once a year hookup schedule for like a 7-year period. Yeah.
Got it. Once a year hookup schedule, medicated. Hey, we're good now.
Well, I stopped talking to him in like I think 2018.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing about him is he really sucked. And so I didn't really like
Wait, he sucked in bed or he just sucked as a person?
Both, He was not nice. He had some.
He's a comic, isn't he, Kate?
He was a comic, yeah, but he wasn't like a good comic. He was like like yeah.
Is he good at anything? Jesus Christ, he's just bad across the board.
He was a really fun person. He was really fun and he was really smart, and he was pretty nice sometimes, but other times he was like, just really like not, I don't know. He was just kind of a jerk. And
that is such a lady boner killer for me. Like, if you're not nice to me, I'm out. I'm out.
That was definitely the point I got to in like maybe 2018. I was just like, I had just taped my Netflix special and I was like, I was feeling pretty good about my life. And I was just like, I don't really have to like stick around for you to be.
That's right.
Me. Like it's not, I don't actually have to put up with this. I can walk out of here right now,
That's right. Toxic people to the left. Like, fuck right off.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fuck off to Fuckville. How about that? Like, fuck off. Okay, just leave. Kate, this has been such a fun conversation. I hope you will come back and do this again. I would love to have you on again.
Oh, it was awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kate, where can people go and where can they follow you and where can they go and listen to your audiobook?
So my audiobook is on Audible Plus. It's free with any Audible subscription. It's called Dirtbag Anthology. And on Twitter, I'm at Kate Willett with 2 T's. And on Instagram, I'm at Kate.Willett with 2 T's. And my podcast is called Reply Guys. And that's on Twitter at Reply Guys Pod.
Awesome. Well, Kate, thank you very much. Stay safe out there, and congrats on the audiobook. I'm very excited. I'm definitely going to check it out.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Bye.
All right. Take care, Kate. Bye. That was lovely, Kate Willett. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. I know I definitely did. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. You can go to youtube.com/Mona Shea Comedian, also on TikTok and also on Facebook. And of course, Instagram and Twitter at Mona's Comedy. You guys, I will be back tomorrow with a brand new guest. Have a good evening. Stay safe out there. I will see you soon.